Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out-of-this-world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here's the host of The Pleasure Zone, sensual movement artist, relationship and sex alchemist, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, sweet everybody's and my sweet, sweet pleasure seekers. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. This is a great day to be alive, right? Why? Because we got bodies and bodies got feelings, and our feelings can be awesome. They can be sexy, and we can have orgasms. Isn't that freaking awesome? Being alive, having a body that can gift you orgasms. Really, I think that's pretty sweet, sweet life. So I'm thinking, like, if you're having a life where you're feeling like, hey, I would really like to feel my body more and experience so much more sensualness and so much more of everything, I think you're at the right place. And not only do I think that, I know that. And guess what? There's like over 200 and something other shows I've done that might entice you into choosing more yummy sexual energy in your life. Some great ideas, some great tips and tools. I really think it is like 240 something or other episodes. So there's an episode for everything, for sure. Well, maybe not, because tonight I've even surprised myself with a topic that, yes, I have never talked about. Phenomenal. How did that even show up? Didn't even know that was possible after this many episodes, but no, tonight we're talking about the exploration of crystals and sex. This could go in so many interesting places. I know that for sure. And for those of you who are going, crystals, they're so woo-woo, only like, you're a hippie and you like stick crystals in a little bag and wear them. Well, there could be that woo-woo hippiness, and maybe those woo-woo hippies are onto something. Maybe they're actually aware of something. If we just break down crystals to the fine mineral components that they are, you kind of start to get how they contribute to bodies in a different way when you really look at them as a mineral content and what those minerals do for bodies. We're not going to get into the technical on those minerals today because I actually do want to go woo-woo. And this is actually episode 246. So cool. 4 episodes away from 250. It's so exciting. It's just so thrilled. I might celebrate that. I might have just celebrated it. I might celebrate it some more. So tonight we will be talking a little bit on the woo-woo edge of crystals for sure. But I just want you to get that there is total validity in crystals because they are minerals. And if you took them down, crush them into powder and snorted them up your nose, you might get high. But it might hurt too because some of them have silica. Some things might. I don't recommend snorting crystals, but I'm saying you could. If you're, out of other stuff, snort a crystal. And no, I'm not telling you to go do that. So if you chose that, it's not my fault. You get to take full responsibility for choosing snorting crystal dust. Crystals as in like quartz and other such things. So these things all have minerals, and these minerals all have different content to them that contributes to our bodies. Just like food has minerals, just like you might be taking vitamin supplements or mineral supplements or supplements, because that's a whole different word. It's like having your supper in a supplement. Supplements. There you go. You might be taking those. And all those things that we actually ingest and digest completely and totally contain minerals, right? So I'm just looking at it as what can we do with these minerals and their other formations when they show up in what we call crystals, but really collectors call them minerals usually. So we're going to look at them from the crystal standpoint of the woo-woo, but in true geological fashion, we're also going to know that I'm also referring to them as minerals. For those of you who are like, sitting there going, well, technically, yeah, I know technically, but we're going to have some fun on the show. So if you can just put your science brain aside for a second, you can know that you are smart. Just know that you know that what I'm talking about is minerals. But I'm going to talk about crystals and woo-woo, and it's going to be super fun. And what actually enticed this conversation into my life is that some of the work I do, I use different amazing instruments, and some of those instruments can both they use information to actually use an instrument to send information to bodies in order for bodies to receive the information and begin to heal themselves. Well, these crazy awesome instruments can also send information to other things, like your water, like your plants, like your trees, like your pets. And they can send information into things like crystals, which are amazing at holding content of information. So my mom and I were on a great exploration of what information can we put into crystals, and we were having a lot of fun putting information into crystals. And I have to say, my whole life I've been fascinated by rocks. I've collected them since I was a tiny wee little thing walking on the beach and looking for quartz. Anything that sparkled was fascinating. So I could find all of these kinds of stones just walking down the beach that I was at when I was little. So I've always been fascinated by them. And if you're not really fascinated by them, you still might find this episode fascinating. And you don't have to love crystals to enjoy this episode. You can enjoy my cough, though, if you like. I just had a little cough there for you. So tonight, we are going to explore the different aspects of what we can do with these crystals to increase their sexual energy, to increase the vibe. Where do we put them in our home, in our everything? What can we do with them? And we're going to explore the different crystals that actually wake up. We'll say they wake up those energy centers like your sacral chakra. So what is your sacral chakra? Well, there are seven main chakras in your body. And mostly when we're talking about the sexual chakras, we're going to be talking about the sacral chakra, which if you want to locate it, it's below your belly button. And it's just like for women, it would be like approximately where your ovaries are, kind of fallopian tubes area. It's about that wide, a little bit wider. And for guys, it's the same. It is internal, but it's also external, and it's your genitals, guys. So your sacral chakra includes your genitals. It also includes some internal organs as well. And the other one that I feel is maybe an overlooked area when it comes to, well, actually they're all involved in sex truly when you get into Tantra, but we're going to specifically ramp up the sexual energy as well as the communication stones if we get time to it, because I find that one of the things that is the toughest for people when it comes to increasing their intimacy and increasing their sex is that there's a lack of communication. So number one for me is always communication is key. And how do we communicate? And sometimes we don't feel like we have the strength for it or the knowledge or the information or the right words. And sometimes having a little assist from our friendly crystals can definitely get things back on track. So today we're going to be talking about, and I already am talking about, first of all, we're going to be talking about what do we do with crystals? Where can we put them? And then I'll talk about some other ones, talk about them. So for right now, in your wildest imagination, where in your home would you put anything that would bring more sexual energy? So for me personally, I like a comfy place to have sex. I like a bed that's comfortable. I can deal with having sex on a countertop that's the right height, as long as it's cozy and I got somewhere to put my feet. And the shower, I like sex in the shower. And sex in my office is good too, which is I got a nice comfy bed in there. But I do like a good bed, or I like sex outside on the grass. Massage tables are good too. Yes. So I like some comfy areas, and if it is sex outside, then I definitely like to have some blankets involved. So, well, where would I put crystals then? Well, if I'm thinking sex in my bedroom, I would put crystals in my bedroom. Specifically, I actually have crystals under my bed, thanks to my handsome husband who likes having a grid under our bed. So we have a grid of crystals under our bed. have for years, have since I've met him. My house actually has crystals embedded into the walls. When I reconstructed my house, when I tore it down and took it right down to the bare bones, I put crystals in the walls of the house as well. I put things like shungite, which is actually for they're more of a stone of protecting from EMFs, and they have really cool things in them. Shungite is one of the things on the planet that has something called fullerenes, which is actually a really specific carbon composition, and they're a phenomenal stone. And I just love having shungite in my walls, but I also like having shungite on my body at times too. So, and I always just ask because I have so many different minerals that sometimes my body requires and enjoys a variety of them. So I embedded them in my wall. Now, if you have the chance to embed them into your wall, go for it. You can actually get different minerals that have been turned to powder. For example, I have a friend who owns a mine, actually, and he has a quartz mine, and he gets the quartz and he crushes it into powder that you can add to paint, so that you can put quartz crystal into the paint, and so your room is basically covered with quartz. Quartz is an amazing stone that magnifies pretty much any other stone that it's around. It magnifies all energy, and it also picks up pretty much anything, but it also magnifies everything and anything. So putting it on things will just magnify different energies. So quartz is one that you can just start with. So you could even just put some quartz in your room to magnify any energy if you like. And then I would add a few other stones to that. But let's start with locations, right? So where I would put them is under my bed for sure, because you don't have to like redecorate your home for that. You don't have to get out the paint, although if you feel like it, you can totally do that. You can put them in your pillowcases actually on the bottom. So if you put them inside your pillowcase, you're going to find that you're sleeping with that energy. And you're going to find, too, that when you're sleeping with that energy, maybe, just maybe, your dreams might get a little more interesting than usual. And so I totally encourage you to test that out after I give you some clues and hints and tips on which stones that would be a contribution to increasing your sexual energy. Just keep in mind some areas, right? So just for fun, if you have a specific drawer where you have your underwear or your bras or your lingerie, you can put stones in there too, because believe it or not, our clothes pick up energy. They do. And one way I can tell you that you can check this is if you've had a really crap day and you feel really crabby and angry, if you literally just take off your clothes, if you pay enough attention, if you actually have body awareness, you might notice that if you've had a crabby day and you take off your clothes, you will feel different. You could put other clothes on, fresh clothes that are totally clean, that have not had interaction with other people for that day. You'll notice that there's a difference. Just like when you have a shower, it literally starts to cleanse the energy from your body. So having clear energy is such a bonus when it comes to sexual activity, because having interaction with somebody whose energy is flowing and it's lovely and it's clear, and they've dissipated their anger and rage, and they're not putting anger and rage into your body. It's so lovely to be handled and to be enjoyed by somebody whose energy is like decontaminated, we'll call it. So if you do feel like your energy is a bit contaminated, definitely have that shower. It's not just for hygiene, it's also for clearing your energy. So where else could you put them, right? So there's so many places. Like I was saying, put them in your drawers, because those crystals they do have an energy, and your clothes hold energy. So the crystals will contribute to that for sure. And some other places that you can put them that maybe aren't as obvious could be even like in your box of sex toys. You can just put them in there because, especially ones that might be more of like a crystal, like I was talking about, the shungite, might actually be one that you would want to put into your sex toys box, because it clears electromagnetic fields and electrical things. So it'll clear things energetically, kind of a protection energy. It'll also give the sense of that if there is anything kind of energetically affecting your electronics of your device, it can allow them to be safer from things like low electrical frequencies that are bound to come out of vibrators. So you can put them literally everywhere. That's the fun part. But the really fun part is, what if you're not at home, right? What if you're traveling and you don't want to stick them necessarily into your pillowcase, because what if you forget, right? You can actually create something for yourself so that when you are traveling, you can have your little travel kit with you that might be like a little box or a little baggie of your special stones that you can travel with, and put them in a place, even inside your suitcase, so that when you're traveling and it's in the room, your room will still have the energy of those stones. So we're going to talk a lot more about locations of where to put these wonderful stones, and we're going to talk all about the different kinds of stones that will ramp up your sexual energy right after this commercial break. You're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, sweet pleasure seekers. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. Tonight we're talking about sex and crystals and how much fun can we have with that. It's a total exploration tonight. So we're talking about the where to put these things. How much fun can you have exploring different places to place these crystals? One of them is something that you've probably heard of. You know, you can actually place them on the body, right? So if you can place them on your own body for sure, just for an experimental sort of thing to see how your body responds to them. And you can place them on your lover's body. How fun is that? Another thing that is pretty easy to pull off, especially for women, I would say, is that you can place them in your undergarments. Well, especially bras. It's pretty easy for women to place crystals in their bras. So that's another pretty easy way to get crystals on your body, carrying them with you all the time. Now, these are some less common ones that I definitely didn't find on any website, but they were ones that I it's me, so my brain, Actually, so far, I will do some references to websites for you so you guys can know some places to get stuff and also where you can get more information if you want more information than what I'm telling you. But one of my ideas was, why not put them internal? And then I was thinking, well, we can't put all kinds of stones internal because some stones, they kind of chip off and they carry some things like that are actually sharp. So, for example, selenite, which is a beautiful white sort of mineral that has like these lines and striations in it. It's really beautiful. I have lots of selenite in my life. And one of the things I have in selenite is a wand. And when I did buy it, it's actually got this intriguing shape that's kind of like similar to a G-spot dildo. And it's got like a tip to it that's rounded and goes up. And it's, even though that particular piece is smoothed out, it's not necessarily safe to use internally. So if you did want to use something like that internally, it would be smart to use something like a condom on top of it. Again, some of the stones are very sharp, so I wouldn't recommend putting them at all into a condom. But if they have been smoothed out, if you have, say, for example, tumbled stones, and they've been smoothed out, that's something that you could put in a condom. Tie a string to that condom so that you're creating something with, and make sure that's tight, double test it so that you can either insert it so that you can pull it out later. But I also wouldn't recommend holding that in your body for extended periods of time. So there is a stone that's available that is used internally without condoms, and it's called the jade egg. You can find that by Google searching the jade egg. It is jade, and it has been polished and formed into an egg shape. At the tip of it, there is a like a little metal sort of ring that you slip your thread or your dental floss through, unscented dental floss, unflavored dental floss. You slip that through so that you have something so that you can pull it out later after insertion. So the jade egg is safe, and people do use it for extended periods of time, like hours at a time. So that's an option. If that's something that you like to do, is put your stones internally. There are several different kinds of yoni eggs, they call them, and you can get them in different shops, actually. Sometimes, surprisingly, you might be looking through a shop that's got different minerals and crystals and stones, and you think you're picking up a really neat shaped egg, and then at the very end of it, there's a little metal hook. That's not a decoration for your Christmas tree. Not at all. Or for your Easter tree, in case you have one of those, because we do. But that's a yoni egg. So you do want to add a piece of, string, unflavored dental floss to that yoni egg and allow your body to receive that. So it's actually a really sweet kind of way that you can use crystals. I would recommend, though, getting ones that have been polished and made specifically for that purpose. It's a pretty common thing in the practice of different things like tantric yoga. They do have some practices that involve insertion of things like yoni eggs, and the ones that are probably the easiest to clean are the ones that are made from the polished stone. So if that intrigues you, you could always get the jade egg or go searching out to find some other eggs. In that same vein, if you don't like things inserted into your yoni, you might like them inserted into your bum. But this comes with a warning, absolute warning. Your bum is kind of like a vacuum. So when you put something into your bum, it will suck it up. So it's the nature of a bum hole. And it will just like suck it. Do you like my sound effect? Suck it right in. So I would suggest not sticking something like a jade egg in your bum, because what you would need to do is have something that is more like a butt plug shape to make sure that you don't suck it up and lose it somewhere in your rectum, end up in the hospital with all the doctors talking about, hey, did you see that person come in who had that wild-looking quartz in their bum hole? Yeah, that was really something. Like, doctors talk. I know, because my grandpa was a doctor. He never named names, but he would tell us the wild and interesting things he saw in ER. So, fair warning. Yes, if you do like some anal activity, and the beautiful thing is we all have an anus. Guys and gals, we all have an anus. So that goes for guys and gals. I don't know. I didn't examine this because this is just popping in my head as I'm talking, but I did not examine whether there are any sites out there, and I might check this on the next commercial break, whether anybody's selling some kind of crystal-type butt plugs. Maybe there's a market for that. I think there might be. And that's one way that you could also have some energy going into your sexual areas. Also, though, your root chakra, not just your sacral chakra. So there is some, depending on what your kind of target is, there is a lot of sexual response in the anus, but there's also a lot of other responses that come energetically, like fear and survival, and a lot of other things that come from the base chakra. So when we're looking at the sacral chakra, we're looking at more stimulating the actual genitals and getting that energy going. So one of the things you can do is just above your pubic bone, there's this, like, sometimes you can kind of feel it when you tuck down, and there's this, for women we call it the mons pubis. So just there, just in that, there's a little area, and then kind of dips down and becomes like a softer spot. So right there around where that bone is, just on the edge of that bone, that's one really great place to put crystals, just on top of your body, and let them do their magic, because there's so much that they will contribute to your body just by being in your auric field. By being physically touching your body as well, your body will have responses to them. I don't know if there's actual studies that have been done on the effects of crystals on the physiological body, like if they've done comparative studies or whatever. So that one's for you to go and explore and feel, does it work for you? Sometimes it's irrelevant whether science says that this works or not, because it's really about you experiencing the difference for yourself. For all you know, you could, be whistling Dixie and it makes your body feel better. So it's not for anybody to say, well, that's crazy, show me the proof. Well, it works for you, so that's all that really matters. And so if something does work for you, you don't necessarily have to assume that you got to make sure that everybody else knows that it's going to work for them, because it might not work for them. It might be your thing. It might be your special capacity that you can heal while whistling Dixie or putting a crystal onto your sacral chakra. So lots and lots of fun going on. So putting them in you, putting them on you, putting them in your room, putting them in your clothes, wearing them in your pockets. There's, and traveling with them in little baggies or a box or something pretty. So there are so many ways that you can utilize crystals, even carrying them in your purse or whatever you like. Some people wear them as jewelry. It's just that easy. So you can have so much fun with these. You could, if you really wanted to, you could sew little pockets, say, for example, into your underwear, and then just have somewhere that you could slip the crystals into it. Like, women tend to have gussets on their underwear, and some of those gussets are completely sewn shut, and sometimes they're not. So, technically you could probably put something into the gusset if you wanted to as well for stimulation, or just sew your own. That could be fun, right? Maybe sewing one into your panties, right where your clitoris would be, would have that stone stimulating your clitoris while you're walking around. Different sensation. I'm not sure if it would be visible under your clothes. Certainly could be fascinating. People might think you have a very engorged, enlarged clitoris, which could be fun just having the judgment of that. Like, wow, that clitoris looks like a little penis. But it's not. It's your, it's your tumbled stones inside your panties pocket. So I know that's an unusual one, but I feel pretty creative about that. And maybe I should be creating some underwear that has little tiny pockets to put your crystals in. You can walk around with those. I might do that. I don't know if I'm going to do that in this life. I have so many other things on the go. And I actually want to mention one of them before the next break. So I'm actually doing a study of sorts, a study that's more like I'd like to gather information from 10 moms and 10 dads who have had kids who are, hopefully their kids are in the younger phases of their life, because I'd like to speak to these people while they're experiencing some of the postpartum sex stuff that goes on, whether it's the rejection of each other or the anger or the blame and all the emotional components behind that. And I'd like to just talk to you at least 3 times over the next 6 months. I would like to talk to you about what's going on. Then I'd like to have another conversation with you about how things have changed after we have our conversation, so giving you some tools. And then after 6 months to see what else could be added and see what will happen. So this is something that I'm offering to 10 moms and 10 dads. So today is September 30th. I would like to have all of my volunteers in by October 31st, 2019. So if you're listening to this in the future, cross my fingers. If you are still interested in the future, I may be doing further information for other things, so feel free to contact me. This will be content for a book. Your name will not be mentioned if you don't want it to be. I will have a foreword in the book that will give gratitude to whoever's volunteering if they want mention. Otherwise, there will be no mention. It'll just be used for content, and I would greatly appreciate your contributions. I'd like to hear as many different perspectives on this as I have time for. So yes, feel free to find me. You can find me on social media. You can write to me at Milica Jelenic at hotmail.com and just write read the book. That way I know what I'm opening, and that way I will open it and not avoid the email. So read the book under the subject. And so it's Milica Jelenic at hotmail.com, MILICAJELENIC at hotmail.com. I'm really excited for this creation, so I'm really looking forward to having my volunteers step up. I've already got a couple of volunteers, so the idea got birthed in the last day, and so it's already growing and it's already really exciting. So I'm very grateful for the contributions that are already coming in. So if this is something that you would like to be part of, or that you know somebody that would like to be part of it, please get them to contact me. So we're going to head to our next commercial break. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life. your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, sweet pleasure seekers. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. Tonight we're talking about an exploration of sex and crystals. It's really fun for me because crystals are something that I've just really loved my whole life. I've collected. They're in my presence. I have them all over my house and in my house and in my walls and under my bed. Even in my bathroom. They're literally everywhere in my house. They're in my office. Yep. And they're even in my closets. I don't think they're actually even in my roof. I don't think and outside there's some on my well, and my property is full of different minerals. So I'm really surrounded by them, and so thrilled that I'm surrounded by them because it just helps me feel alive and joyful. So if you haven't felt alive or joyful lately, go ahead and find yourself some crystals to just enjoy. That's what I got to say about that. So let's get into some of these crystals. For the love of God, I know I've made you wait forever. I'm so sorry. Let's start with some ones that are pretty common things, minerals we'll say, that that you probably have access to. So one of them is actually copper. Copper is such an easy mineral for you to find. You know, if you have an old-fashioned penny, you've probably got copper. There's also copper wiring in your house, more than likely, unless you have super old wiring in your house, like aluminum wiring. But copper is easy to find, easy to get. You can always just go get some copper wire from your local hardware store and make yourself a little swirly thing. Like you can make yourself something that you can put beside your bed and just make it all like a little jumbly mess of copper. It's pretty easy. You can buy it in its raw formation as well. I have copper in several different formations. Like I've got it in ingots and I've got it in different raw forms, and just whatever way that you enjoy copper. Some people, and I have it also in jewelry, so you can wear it, right? So copper bracelets and different things. And I'm sure you've heard people talk about copper as something that helps with rheumatism and different circulation issues. Well, circulation issues are actually sometimes the issues that relate to sexual issues as well, like sexual dysfunction. For men, sometimes sexual dysfunction has to do with, a lot of times it's psychological, but sometimes it's actually got to do with circulation as well. So, copper activates and opens the base and sacral chakras, advancing and stabilizing the energies of intuition, sexuality, desire, and vitality, directing these energies toward the pursuit of one's path of evolution. It allows one to recognize the barriers which are in the path of one's development. So that's a quote from what I call the Bible of crystals. It's called Love is in the Earth. It's from Melody. The book has been updated several times. I have the edition that's from like 2000 maybe. I'm not sure what year the one that I have was printed, but I'm not sure if there's been updates since. It's a great book though if you can find it around. If you are fascinated by minerals, crystals, and things like that, this is one of the greatest information sources for learning about different minerals, for sure. So go for it. Go get yourself one of these great reference books. It doesn't have pictures in it, but, you know, to me, it's the beauty of having the internet right now is that you could just Google search the name of the mineral, and the picture will pop up. Sometimes it'll even give you the information on what those do in terms of healing as well. But I do like this information from Melody, so just letting you know. There are a lot of other minerals, just minerals and crystals that contribute to sex and sexuality and increased sexual energy. And a lot of them will be crystals that are in the family that are kind of like orange or orange reds. So you can find things like carnelians, for example, or red jasper. So things like red jasper really invigorates libido and prolongs sexual excitement. I encourage you to check out some websites here. I'm going to give you some websites. So some of the information is coming from the Melody book. Some of this information is coming from energymuse.com. And on energymuse.com, there's a blog on crystals for sex and intimacy. So the red jasper is great for all kinds of things. The reds and the oranges, again, they invigorate, increase libido, and can prolong. In general, they quite do the same thing, restore sexual energy. For example, orange carnelian is specifically for revitalizing and restoring female sex organs. And smoky quartz is another one. It's, even though it's not orange, it is it's more about accepting that sex is normal. So sometimes the stones are for, when you're talking about healing for sex, it's also about healing your mind, your points of view. Also, like I was saying before, about some of the ones that would be for your throat, for healing for communication. And a lot of the ones that are healing communication stones are in the family that is blue, kind of like and for the mind are usually blues, like things like sodalite. So we're going to go back to the sex part. So when we're talking about healing the mind with smoky quartz, it's one of the best crystals for sex for men because it actually increases their virility. So as much as it's not orange, again, sometimes it's just the energy of the stones itself. Garnet's another great one. It can dissolve all kinds of blockages that exist in your lower chakras. Garnet is a red stone, dark red, and I love garnet. I have lots of garnet in my life, and garnet and rubies, like all of those dark red stones. So garnets, too, can be used in your very base chakra. You could put them on your body. You could actually lie down and have the garnet stone at the very base of your spine, and then you could put like an orange carnelian. If you're a woman, you could put an orange carnelian just right above, if you're lying on your tummy. So one would go right at the base of your spine, and the next one would go just right where, your bum starts, where the crack of your bum would start, and just above that. And you could just place an orange carnelian there. And then some other ones you can move your way up, like rose quartz, for example, to assist with more of a loving connection. You could put that one right around your heart center, which is right between your boobs. And unless your boobs are hanging down to your knees, right where your boobs should be. Well, there's an interesting point of view. Right where, we'll say between the lungs then, instead of between your boobs. It's between my boobs, because my boobs are little. And you can place it just between the breasts, the rose quartz. So it just sits there right where your heart chakra would be. I'm just giving you locations for those of you who are not aware of where your chakras are. And yeah, so garnet there at the very base of your spine, carnelian just above it, just above where your bum cheeks are, and just place it right where that crack of your bum starts. Rose quartz on the heart. And then you could put a smoky quartz up. I would put it up a little bit higher, up near the mind. So I would put it at like the base of your skull, or just even slightly in between where your shoulders start and on your neck area. It depends on what you can reach and how it balances on your body. So those are some ideas for you. So for men, instead of having the orange carnelian, like how women have the orange carnelian right above the crack of their bum. For guys, you could put red jasper there to help increase your virility. So, and for men too, you could switch it up if you don't want the smoky quartz up near your head. You could put it down by the crack as well. So another fun thing you could do, and this one is from theenergymuse.com, she mentions putting some of the minerals, different stones that we talked about, like the carnelian and the garnet. You could put those in your bath. And you could have a bath with your partner and have the stones in there. So some stones, FYI, if you add things like salt or different oils to your water, it will sometimes change the sheen of your stones. So I did that by accident a few times. I was clearing my stones and I added salt, thinking normally salt clears a lot of energy, but in this case, it took the sheen off of some of my tumbled stones. So just being aware of that, just plain water if you're going to have it, and it's just more like a crystal bath rather than a salted or a scented bath. So, and then wash those stones off when you're done as well. And when you are using these stones in particular, you want to recharge them and cleanse them because they will pick up stuff that's going on. So especially if you've got some quartz going on in your house, it will pick up energies and it kind of holds on to them. So you want to either put them in the moonlight, for example, or clean them underwater, or some people like to put sage around them, or just talk to them. Just talk to those crystals and say, all of the stuff that's contained in you, I clear it now. And it's literally like the information goes from you into the minerals, and it's the information that will clear it. So you can do some of those things quite easily. So we're going to head to our last commercial break. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Interested in masturbating for money, copulating for consciousness, and pleasuring on purpose? 21 Days of Sexual Magicism with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic is an exploration of tools, processes, and actions that you can use to create more for your life, your body, your money inflows, and so much more. Graduated learning for all levels of interest. Learn at your own pace via video classes or join the yearly live class. Take a peek at www.milicajelenic.com.
This is the Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today from the U.S., call 815-880-TALK. That's 815-880-8255. From Canada, dial 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Or send your questions or comments via email to info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. Today we're talking about crystals and sex and sexual energy and how do we ramp it up. What do we do with these crystals? Well, on break, I thought I would check out and Google searched crystal butt plugs. And there's a great site on Etsy. And if you check out the Etsy market, it's just etsy.com/ca/market/crystal_butt _plug, you will come up with some pretty awesome stuff. There's a bunch of different places that make them, like Vixen Crystals, Stars and Stripes New York. Oh, my butt plug. Vixen Crystals got a few of them that are handcrafted, and they're beautiful. There's also yoni versions as well, so they're really pretty. I'm actually like, wow, it makes me want to get a butt plug. There's a rose quartz one. Ooh, there's ones with all kinds of stuff. They're so exciting. So if that's something that entices you, there's also a black obsidian butt plug. What a great way to get grounded with some obsidian. Oh, it's great getting in your body and getting really present. So yes, all these great things exist. So if you are going to stick crystals in your butt, go get yourself a crystal butt plug, because they are the right, I checked them out, they're the correct shape for entering an anus. You want something that's more, there's a certain shape that you want, and then you also want something that's actually got an end that's wider, so you don't suck it up into your bum, into your colon even, and just let it roam around and have a heyday, kind of like a little spacecraft moving through your intestines. So it's such a fun exploration. There's so many crystals that you can use. When you go shopping for them, there's so many sites you can go to. Amazon.com's got all kinds of crystals you can buy, but go to one of your local shops that sells different minerals and crystals. There's ones literally in every town. I live in one of the smallest towns with 1,000 people. Well, we even have a rocks and mineral shop. We also are in really close to the mineral capital of Canada. Like, our area is part of the mineral capital of Canada, mineral area of Canada, but the mineral capital of Canada is Bancroft, and it's got all kinds of minerals. And so in and around Ontario, you can find little shops everywhere. When I went on my adventures this summer, went to so many little shops that every little town seems to have one. So go to your local shop and feel those stones and ask your body which ones it would like. Which stone would increase your sexual vitality? The thing about them is, there is kind of a concept that any ones that are orange will do that, but like we talked about, the smoky quartz does something else, right? It clears those maybe limitations or thoughts you have about enjoying sex. So it could be different for you, because there might be some other energies going on, for sure. So we actually used to have a woman on we used to have a woman who dedicated all of her episodes to different crystals on this network, on Inspired Choices Network, and her name was Jody, and I can't remember what the name of her show was, but I'm sure if you go on to Inspired Choices Network and you search for the crystals, you'll find her episodes as well. And she had, I think, about 20 or 30 episodes on different crystals. She might have done one on sex, but I don't remember. So feel them, ask your body which one it would like, and then ask your body what it would like to do with it. Would it like to be on it, in it, around it? Would it like to be under the bed, on the bed, hanging from a window, in your underwear drawer? Where would those crystals like to be? There's so many fun places for them. And I encourage you to go check out some of the more naughty fun things, like those beautiful yoni eggs. You can get them in all kinds of varieties. And like those awesome crystal butt plugs. There's so much fun to be had. And, you can even get things that are like nipple clamps that have crystals attached to them, or make your own, right? You can get the clamps, and then you could add different beads from different things. Like you could get quartz beads or rose quartz beads and attach them to nipple clamps if you like, and just not only beautify them, but add the energy of those minerals to your play. Just so fun. I am just like, today was such a fun episode. And next week I've got a guest. I've got Sherry Elliott Urey. She had a show on here called Sharing with Cher, and she's going to be my guest next week, and we're going to be talking about some pretty awesome, fun stuff. So join us on the next episode of The Pleasure Zone.
Thank you for listening to The Pleasure Zone with sensual movement artist Milica Jelenic. The Pleasure Zone returns next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.